9-minute hold, and I haven't heard that we're not, then things really start to happen quickly. We, in the crew module, get our books together. Our books are all tethered, and they're checked. So we have a couple of books each for each person. The pilot and commander have a lot of theirs velcroed in front of them onto the panels. And based on what your job's going to be, you get yourself ready. You have a knee pad you have a little clipboard on your knee, and with just a regular pencil, and you write down, should something bad happen, or something that you need to remember, you write everything down. Just a very, very cryptic note. And you've trained to do all this over probably a year of training. The first real activity that's going to happen is about 6 minutes for the crew. 6 minutes before launch. And that is when the launch control team director in Florida has decided to go ahead with the launch. We're not quite there yet. We're coming up to it. 42 seconds or so. So I don't know. Do we know what the decision is on? No? So can we turn up the sound a little bit on this?
We heard go last time we were on the console.
You did hear go, okay.
All systems are go.
So this is what the crew have been waiting for. Is are we going? T-minus 9 minutes is the big deal.
Did they say go?
We'll pick up the countdown in 15 seconds.
Yes, here we go.
15 seconds.
Picking up in 10 seconds.
The countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. T-minus 9 minutes and counting. DLS auto sequence has been initiated.
Okay, so this is the big. At this point, the
Well,
crew now going,
are
all right,
checking
we're
over
probably going to
1,000
go.
parameters between
Now the only thing that
now
will
and when
stop
it hands
them
off to Atlantis'
be a
onboard
problem
computers
with the
at
actual
T-minus
vehicle.
31 seconds.
That's good. So at this point, in another 3 minutes, Chris Ferguson's warning the
And
crew,
from
okay,
31 seconds
get yourself
on,
ready.
Atlantis' onboard
He's the
computers
commander.
will be
They
completely
already
in
know
control
that,
of
but
the
they'll
countdown
remind them of it.
and for main engine start.
Can you turn that down? And so just a
It
little
will
bit.
assess in the last 6 months.
And so the next function for the crew is to hear the command to start these auxiliary power units. We're looking at the tail of the shuttle there right now. The 3 main engines, the 3 black cones pointing down, out of which all the fire and thrust comes, along with the 2 solid rocket boosters. Those are going to be gimbaled, moved around by hydraulic actuators. And that will start happening at about 3 minutes before launch. To enable, and also the flight control surfaces of the shuttle, the rudder and the elevons on the wings will be moved around to verify all those work. They haven't been moved for a long time today. So this is the first check, and it's very important that they all pass. To enable that, hydraulic systems are started at about 6 minutes. And that's what the pilot, Doug Hurley, will do. He will turn those on, heat them up, and then actually set them to run at 5 minutes. And so, we're at 7:20. He's going to get that call very shortly. They're moving the white room away. So now their exit path off the launch pad is just a little bit more complicated because that's going to have to be moved back if they want to get out. But of course, it needs to be out of the way for launch. Once those auxiliary power units are started at about 5 minutes by Doug, then the next function you don't really have much to do for launch, is get your straps tight, get your, at about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and we'll come up with that there on the audio, they'll be told to clear all of the messages that have been enunciated by the computers up to that moment, so that only new ones, fresh ones that are important for them to respond to, should they occur, are shown on the displays. And they close their visors, and so that means their suit now is entirely leak tight and can be pressurized if there's a hole in the cabin, or if they need to bail out. And they go on to main oxygen flow. And so at this point, when you've got the visor closed, you just hear your breathing, kind of this, it's the classic, Hollywood breathing sound. And that's what you're hearing. And you're hearing each other only over the intercom through the headset. At about 3 minutes, those engine gimbals are moved around by the hydraulics, the flight controls are tested, and you suddenly, this is the first time you feel anything, you feel the shuttle sort of wobbling, moving, and you're at the top of this big fulcrum. And so now you're checking your straps. You know something dynamic is finally going to happen. Up to this point, all your experience, for me, on the first flight was in a simulator. And then come 2 minutes, we close our visors, we just get into this final count. And there's no countdown on board. We're just watching the clock. And it's a tiny little clock, just like the one over there. On the bottom of it is, actually on the top of the display. And that's all you're watching. Then at about 30 seconds, we're going to hear this called GLS sequence go. And at that point, the space shuttle has gone over to its own computer to run the whole show. Every ground system is out of it now. And the space shuttle computers, there's actually 5 of them, but 4 of them are working together. One's watching. They initiate the countdown, the final countdown in the last 31 seconds. And then at about 6 seconds before launch, the space shuttle main engines are ignited. And at this point, you're aware that you sort of moved. Again, it's still quiet, calm, it's like nothing's going wrong. And then as the shuttle swings back, caused by the thrust of the main engines coming up, and you feel this faraway noise, it's not very loud, and you feel this slight sway, then there's this huge kick, and you feel a huge knock in your back. And it's because the solid rocket boosters have ignited at exactly 0. And you are now launched on your way. And immediately after that, looking out the window, I remember my job was to watch Charlie Bolden's velocity tapes tell us what our Mach number was. We got up to 25 times the speed of sound when we get to orbit, or 17,000 miles per hour. My job, and this is Sandy Magnuson, is just basically watch and monitor those tapes so that we know if an engine fails, where we'll go next. And it could be back home to the Kennedy Space Center. It could be across the pond to Spain, or it could be further on, once around the Earth, or up to orbit. And the first thing I noticed as I had this huge kick in the back of the back and this roaring noise around was I couldn't read the instruments because they were shaking so much. All that training, I couldn't do my job. And it's not really gotten any better since then. It's because the solid rocket boosters are rough. They're rough, solid. It's like a big firework on either side, and they're pushing, and so you're going back and forth at the top there. And that's just the nature of the side-mounted solid rocket boosters. And this goes on for 2 minutes, and you're being pushed now with like up to 2 people. Imagine 2 people sitting on your chest, 3 people on your chest. That's the number of G's you're feeling, up to 3 G's. Let's bring up the sound now.
Fuel cells going to internal. External plane camera being activated at this time.
This really rough ride, though, is the first 2 minutes while the solid rocket boosters pushing you. And then, and we've all got our visors down, we're only hearing our breathing. But at 2 minutes, you start feeling the thrust easing off. Those people sitting on your chest are getting off your chest. And it starts to get rather quiet. And then it's kind of wind noise that you're hearing. You're hearing this kind of groaning wind noise as you go up through the atmosphere. And it starts to get quiet as you get above the atmosphere. You're already going at Mach 4.
Rocket booster cameras being activated.
And then the boosters start to tail off and thrust at 2 minutes. And then we get a little message saying this is less than 50. Pressure less than 50 to assign the boosters. And then big flash of flame, and the next thing you know is you're all sort of dead quiet.
T-minus.
You just hear the fans running, and we lift up our eyes and we talk across the aircraft. Now.